may have heard about some of the amazing health benefits of L Reuteri yogurt, especially if you watched my video about how to make it. It's anti-inflammatory, it's healthy for your gut and digestion. It has some amazing anti-aging properties. It's great for your hair and skin, your bones, and it even strengthens your immune system, among many, many other things, which I covered in the last video. But how do you get more of it in your diet? That's the question. Well, if you're new to my channel, one of the things I absolutely love to make are healthier versions of desserts. So can you get some extra L Reuteri in your body through a delicious dessert? Absolutely. And that's exactly what I'm going to talk about today on Southern Keto. Stick around. So I'm gonna make an absolutely delicious strawberry frozen super yogurt with L Reuteri and some of these fresh organic strawberries. Anytime you buy berries, always try to get the organic kind if you can afford it. If you can't, just wash them with a vegetable and fruit wash, because they're one of the foods that they spray with the most chemicals to keep away pests and bugs. Do the best you can, but I always recommend using organic. So first, what I'm going to do here, I've got a half measuring cup, or for my friends in some of the other countries, you might say half a mug. But anyway, on here it says 125 milliliters. And I just filled it up as much as I could with, 4 or 5 real good sized berries. And I'm just going to remove the greenery. Unless you enjoy the greenery, and if you do, that's just weird. And I'll be glad to mail these to you. One thing about the L Reuteri yogurt, you don't want to blend it because it'll kill the bacteria in there. So I'm going to make this strawberry sauce that I'll end up mixing in to the yogurt later. And you have to have a ton of strawberries, as you probably know, to get a good strawberry flavor. So I'm also going to be enhancing that with a little bit of strawberry extract. I'm just going to kind of roughly chop these to make this sauce, and I'll be right back as soon as that's done to show you the next step. So I'm just going to take a really small saucepan, and I use the hex-clad kind. They're my absolute favorite. And I'm gonna dump those strawberries right in. I'm also gonna go in with about a teaspoon of lemon juice. And if you got fresh lemon juice, that's great. If not, just use what you got. These old green bottles are always hanging out in the fridge somewhere just for such an occasion. And then I have some allulose. I know in some countries you can't get allulose, which is a shame because it's really been proven to be one of the healthiest sweeteners you can get, but you can just use whatever sweetener you like. And I'm going to use about a half cup of that. And all I'm going to do is just mash these down and start cooking them and make a sauce out of it. It's going to take 5 or 6 minutes to break all these down. I'm just using one of these meat breaker downers, and I'll put links to everything I use down in the description too. But I'm just going to mash this into a nice sauce. Let it cook for 5 or 6 minutes. Now you can taste this for sweetness also. At this point, it should be super sweet if you like super sweet. Because when we mix in the L Reuteri, as you know, if you've had it before, it's gonna be super tangy. So you wanna make sure this is a little bit over sweetened just to compensate for that and make a delicious frozen super yogurt. You can leave chunks in if you want to, or you can break them up. The choice is yours. And then I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Now at this point, it should be bubbling up pretty nice like that. I'm gonna turn the heat down just a little bit, give these a little bit more of a mash, but I'm gonna leave just a few chunks in mine because that's what I like. And now to that, I'm gonna add a pinch of salt. That just helps bring out the sweetness. I'm gonna add in a 1/4 teaspoon of beef gelatin. And you may recognize this from my ice cream video. I've come up with this combination of beef gelatin and 1/8 teaspoon of xanthan gum. And when you put this in the ice cream, if you ever made homemade ice cream before, you know it gets hard as a rock in the freezer. This helps it to stay nice and soft even after being in the freezer for a week or a couple weeks. So I use that in everything. And I'll link that video up there somewhere and down in the description as well. If you want a great ice cream recipe that doesn't have junk ingredients like a lot of the store-bought stuff. I've turned off the heat. I'm going to continue to whisk this just to keep that xanthan gum and gelatin from clumping. I'm going to let it cool, and I'll show you what to do next in just a minute. Now this sauce is nice and thickened up. If you can see that. It's almost like a jelly. So I'm gonna go ahead and pour that into Old Yeller. Now if you're new here and you don't know about Old Yeller has a long and storied history with this channel. Now I'll leave a link to a video down below because even if you're not new here, you may not know the origins of Old Yeller. So make sure you check that out too. And then to that strawberry mixture, I'm gonna add in 1.5 cups of L Reuteri Yogurt. Now this stuff is thick, so make sure you press it down in there really well or just use a little extra. I mean, you see how thick this stuff is? That is the good stuff. So 1.5 cups of that goes in. Then I'm gonna add in 1 cup of heavy cream. Now it's recommended you eat about 1/2 cup of L Reuteri per day. So this is just more of a healthy way to get a little bit extra in. And then some strawberry extract. Now you're gonna wanna probably taste this, but I would say anywhere from 2 teaspoons to a tablespoon of this. So I'm gonna go in with almost a tablespoon. This, just like the sweetness, is gonna be to your personal taste. So taste it now, see what it tastes like, because that's what your final product will be like. And then just give it a little bit of whiskey business. Just make sure this is well combined together. I'm gonna put it in the refrigerator for about 2 hours and make sure it's super cold. And then I'll come back and show you how to make this super frozen yogurt. It's been a couple hours and this has been in the fridge. It doesn't necessarily have to stay in for a couple hours. You just want to make sure it's nice and cold. And I've got this Cuisinart ice cream maker. I'll put a link to it down below. I also have a Ninja Creamy, but you just don't want an ice cream maker that has blades because that's going to destroy the bacteria in the L Reuteri. So this has this insert that you need to freeze. It has to be in the freezer for about 24 hours before it's ready to use. So just make sure you plan accordingly. I always leave mine in a deep freezer out in the garage. Then you're just gonna take this and put it right in the yogurt maker or ice cream maker, depending on what you're making. So make sure and put it in there. Push this blade down in, put the top on, then all you have to do is turn the button. It's gonna be somewhere between 15 and 25 minutes, depending on how cold this is. And I'll see you as soon as it's done. So after 20-25 minutes, you should be able to turn it off and it should be ready. I mean, look at that. I've got some of these ice cream containers. I'll scoop it into that. They have these silicone lids and you can just store it right in the freezer because remember, if you use the gelatin and the xanthan gum, it's gonna stay a nice consistency over time. Or divide it among several different containers, it's up to you. Let me show you exactly how much this makes. I was gonna split it between 2 because that's what I normally do for different nights, but this is a quart container. So that's what you got right there. I mean, look how great that looks. And what a way to get in some of that L Reuteri. All right, y'all, I cannot wait to taste this stuff. I mean, look at that. That is absolute deliciousness. I mean, what a way to get in some extra L Reuteri. Now, if you missed the original video on how I made the L Reuteri yogurt, make sure you don't miss it because you're gonna need it for this. Check it out right here.